For the longest time, I have not been a kaiju fan, and that's only because I was exposed to the most boring one. Damn, shots fired. Oh my god, Kong is dead. So for the longest time, I wouldn't really give them a chance. And me, trying to be more open towards things, I decided to give Godzilla out of all movies a chance. And I know that's probably the most generic choice that I can make, but some of these movies are actually good. Who would have thought that a franchise that is 72 years old would actually have a few good movies here and there? Dumbass. I've grown to appreciate the multiple different tones, messages, and symbolism that some of these films provide. Whether it's the interesting politics and the gross design of Godzilla from Shin Godzilla, Godzilla being the embodiment of the main character's trauma in Godzilla Minus One, or the historical context that adds to the original Godzilla. I would say that these are the ones that are pretty damn good, and I honestly think that you should give them a try. All Monsters Attack is not one of those movies. All Monsters Attack is a Godzilla movie made in 1969, and it barely qualifies as a Godzilla movie, let alone a movie at all. This movie's main character is a child named Ichiro, and he kinda makes this movie that I'm thinking is supposed to be a comedy unintentionally depressing. He lives with his parents that are constantly away because they're trying to save up money to move out of an overpriced and smog-covered city, leaving him to fend for himself whenever they're away, go into places that he isn't supposed to go to, and to hang out with the neighbor that works with electronics. He in this movie is supposed to represent some sort of anti-bullying message that doesn't even work in the end. He is pushed with a message constantly that you're supposed to fight back at your bullies, which to a degree I can understand that in very specific scenarios, but there's a few problems with it. How the hell was the kid supposed to take on 8 kids at once that look like they're a few years older than him? I think the moment that he throws a punch, his teeth is going to be on the curb. And second, it's funny that this anti-bullying message is being associated with Godzilla, where he is known to whip the shit out of any monster that comes across his way. Like, sure, he's an animal and he does it to claim his land, and he's sort of a Frankenstein's monster sort of character, but I still think that it's weird to associate the anti-bullying message with Godzilla, especially with how he acts in this movie, which I'll go into later. This sad kid feeling pressured by the world only has one goal throughout his day: to either fall asleep to dream about being in a world with Godzilla, or to daydream about being in a world with Godzilla. Jesus Christ, this movie is like the Shark Boy and Lava Girl of the 60s. This is just depressing once you dissect it. After imagining that he crash landed and he was the only survivor, why the fuck are you smiling? You have a kill count. You finally get to see Godzilla in action, which I don't really like the look of this Godzilla. Like, I don't know why, but whenever I imagined this Godzilla, I imagined like the cat with the watermelon in its mouth. This fight is so stupid, but at least they're kind of self-aware with it. Like, I wasn't expecting Godzilla to be fucking dribbled on like that. Like, that's just disrespectful. But this movie is an abomination of other movies being tied together, that the scenes barely flows into the next one, making it feel like the movie is just auto-skipping over the fight. During this scene and throughout this movie, they love abusing the same sound effect that they've been using since the 50s of Godzilla roaring. And at this point, it feels like some sort of fucked up inside joke with this movie. Just spam it as much as possible like it's the Johnny Test web crack sound effect. There's this one scene that I still don't understand why it's in the movie, where the kid just randomly starts yelling out the names of different kaijus. Do they do anything? No, they just stand there. Do you ever see them again? You get a bird. Fuck off. It's really like this is a lamer version of a movie that already exists while not knowing how to implement the characters into this movie that didn't need them in the first place. Funny how that works out. After he gets a little bit too close to the action, he runs off and stumbles into a cave, where somebody throws down a rope for him. And you are met with one of the most unappealing things that has graced cinema screens. When I first saw this creature, the first thing that left my mouth was, what the fuck is that? I don't want to get all nostalgia critic, Batman credit card in here, but Minilla fucking scares me, okay? If you do not know, this is Godzilla's son, and do I really need to say anything? There's just something about his skin looking like a fucking mole, how uncomfortable his stance is constantly, and that creepy ass face that gets worse whenever there are random close-up shots on it that shows an animatronic face. Like, I don't want to be here. The only reason why Godzilla's son is here is because he's also a part of the anti-bullying message, where he is, no joke, both bullied by the monsters and bullied by his dad. And it makes it even sadder because the main character relates to him because of his bullying problems. I can understand why they implemented this character, as dumb as this character is. Now, his son talking isn't strange because that's in the child's head, I understand that. But I think he's supposed to tell the young audience the message of the movie, to explain the monsters, and so the audience can see themselves in the character if they're also being bullied. I understand the premise of what they're going for. But isn't that what the main character is for? He achieves the same goal. Do you really need two characters with the same problem to explain the same message? I mean, the main character seems more appealing to appeal to children than Minilla. And I'm not saying that a character shouldn't sympathize with another character having the same issue, it's just that, why the fuck does it need to be Minilla? Speaking of bullies, Godzilla in this movie is straight up a neglectful dad. It's either he fucks off and his son gets his brain fried, which is funny because when I was watching it with friends, I thought he just genuinely fucking died there. He forces his son to fight his own battles and then he gets his ass whooped. Or he forcibly steps on his tail to get him to do his flame breath, which when he isn't being abused by his dad, it typically looks like he's puffing a sick ass cloud. But this is a reoccurring moment in the movie of his power coming from abuse, technically. That's odd. It's also a bigger issue with this movie where it's just violence can solve everything, and that you could just apply it to every single scenario, no matter how unrelated it is. It just feels like a really outdated boomer take, where they believe that violence should be fixed with violence, when in reality it will just create more problems. I do believe that people should fend for themselves underneath certain scenarios, but I don't think that it should be the default to reacting to a bully like this movie is trying to say. There are always solutions to problems. Aggression and violence should not be the priority of trying to fix a problem. Trying to justify violence in that way shouldn't be targeted towards children, because you want to know what type of adult that is? A person that has the mentality of a child. There's one character that's completely unique to this film, and it's Galabra. Listen, he may look silly, but honestly, he looks really damn cute. I will shit on this movie consistently, but that is the one thing that I will stand on. I love this guy, and you cannot change my mind. He just leaves. The best character literally just left the fucking movie. The odd part about this kaiju is that he's a made-up kaiju that is supposed to represent the main character's bully. So in this child's mind, he just imagined his bully being brutally beaten by Godzilla. I know that's played off as just playful imagination, but I don't think this kid is mentally okay. Nah, movie is completely okay for a kid to fantasize about violence. Normalized violence will lead to nothing at all. There's some other silly fights in this movie, but since the movie doesn't really want to focus on Godzilla, I guess I'm not going to focus on it either. And I don't want to show you every funny thing that happens from this movie because I also want you to go into this movie blind because it's just better that way. I mean, do I need to comment on this? Do I need to comment on this scene? I don't think I do. And you want to know some tonal whiplash? A betrayal of trust, Steven? I've been hiding something from you guys. Would you believe me that in this movie, between the main plot and the imagination segments, that the main character is being held hostage by two robbers? I'm not joking. So one of the three plots in this movie is that there are two robbers hiding out from a heist. And you know that they're bad because they're aura farming. I mean, look at them. They look cool as shit. I would smoke if I was a kid looking at this. The main kid, after being chased by the bullies in the beginning of the film, tries to retreat into an abandoned building that he doesn't know that the robbers are hiding in as well. Sort of creating a wrong place at the wrong time sort of scenario. I like how the bullies immediately give up and then all of a sudden randomly starts running into traffic, especially knowing that there's a police car that just passed by. Like, why would you do that? I don't understand why you would do that. While in the building, Ichiro finds a robber's ID conveniently while they're trying to hide because I guess it fell down a hole next to the spot that they were conveniently hiding at. So through the kid naturally being curious and taking anything interesting, he leaves with the robbers trailing him because he took their ID, and eventually they kidnap him. Which is funny because they don't even do a good job at it. At first they grab him and then they just put him in a chair with no restraints, so he's just sitting there. But then later on they realize that he's not in restraints, so then they restrain him. But then they didn't even put the restraints on him correctly and he just runs away. I don't even know if that's like a part of a joke. I feel like it's filmed in a way where it's intentional because it's supposed to be some sort of teaching moment to defend yourself. And those scenes were supposed to be referencing bullying, not in reference to stranger danger. So when you recontextualize the anti-bully message that I was going for originally with the robber plotline, it just doesn't fit. Which, listen, I'm not getting upset over the fact that they're teaching kids how to defend themselves, but I don't think that they communicate enough the difference of dealing with bullies and dealing with strangers, because defend yourself against a bully is completely different of how you would defend yourself against a stranger. One is messing with you, one is trying to kill you. So treating it as, oh, well, you can use this for both scenarios, is I think a little irresponsible to compare and say. And it's a symptom of them trying to cram both messages into one when they are completely different scenarios that should not be compared at all. I think the rubber plotline is very confusing of which tone they want for these characters, because at one point they're doing silly antics and then the next moment they're trying to kill the kid. Like, are you going to portray them in a Home Alone style type way or as a genuine threat? This movie just doesn't know how to pick a lane. It's constantly in the state of dealing with the boring robber plotline, dealing with the saddest kid in the world, and dealing with kaiju daddy issues. I don't understand why all of these plots would relate to one another at all, and it's just frustrating seeing none of these plot lines coherently play out together. But getting to the end of the film, the kid manages to escape from the robbers get jailed, and his family decides to be more active in his life. But in the end, even with the simple anti-bully message that it did, that was so fucking forced down our throats that we just had to fucking sit through it, they still managed to fuck up the messaging of it somehow. So out of nowhere, the bullies arrive again after he deals with the whole being held hostage situation. He finally stands up for himself and he confronts his bully. And I think that this is by far the worst film fight scene I've ever seen. Just look at it. I can count the fucking frames. I understand that they probably did this so that the kids wouldn't actually get hurt, but that doesn't make this any less funnier. After this fight scene, which is funny saying that it was even a fight scene to begin with, the bully decides to agree to be friends, and the main character decides to join the bullies by making some random person fall into some paint. There is no development of where the bullies learn to be better people. There is no bonding moment. That's just how they become friends over a fight. This movie is literally telling children that you should join the kids who are actively bullying you and to become a bully with them. It just loops around to being a pro-bully movie, and to be honest, did I expect anything more from this movie that is already slapped together? This movie, although it's terrible, I will not refuse that. I can potentially see something there. It's not a lot, but I can see just a little bit of something there. I see the goal that they tried to do, which was to sympathize with kids being bullied and lucky kids, which if they found comfort in this, then all power to them. But I still believe that the anti-bullying message is poorly communicated. I don't think this movie had bad intentions, I just think that they didn't really have the foresight to realize that they're unintentionally turning this into a pro-bully movie. And the movie suffers because of it. The robbers plotline was just very dragged out and irrelevant when it comes to the bullying theming that this movie obviously wanted to focus more on. The biggest crime of it is that it's just boring. It was probably only there to beef up its already short runtime. I swear, whenever they're on screen, I just want to get back to the stupid shit. Mom, you know I want slop and not slop. And the most important thing is that this doesn't feel like a Godzilla movie. And this doesn't feel like a movie at all. You're just watching the best moments of other Godzilla movies, and it's just a way to repackage other Godzilla movies to just say that they had a movie out that year. There's a vision to this movie and I can see it, but it's mainly just a hollow product. Because when you half-ass a movie, shocker, it's not really going to be that developed. If you want to watch a really bad movie that is fun to laugh at, then this is a good movie to watch when it comes to that. But objectively, this movie was ass. It's a 2.5 out of 10. And you know what's funny? I still think that Godzilla 1998 is worse than this movie. And sorry, you're not getting a review out of me. It is that boring. It would just be an extremely unproductive video. I would take a enjoyably shit movie over a boring MCU joke tier comedy that is both way too generic to sit through and way too long of a film for what it is. I watched it once and I'll never watch it again. All my homies hate Zilla, sorry. Anyway, subscribe if you want to, like if you want to, even comment if you want to. I don't care, you do you, and have a good day. I just found this image on the internet. It's so fucking funny. He's so fucking scared, just look at him.